y'all, it's Natalie for a cherry on top today, and it is Technique Tuesday, and I'm stamping on a layout today. I have this awesome big mount clinging stamp by Tim Holtz, Stampers Anonymous collection. It is called Bubbles. And I have these silly photos of my son because I have a hilarious story that I needed to tell about him. So I grabbed this My Favorite Things rainbow paper pad, and that inspired the colors for my stamping. So I pulled out 8 Distress Oxide inks that correspond with the colors that I pulled out of the paper pad here. And I'm just lining up the colors in rainbow order and figuring out how I'm going to place them on my cling stamp here. So I have some plain white cardstock. It is textured. And I don't know why I'm rotating it. That doesn't matter. But I'm figuring out how many times I'm going to stamp it. And I want like a big swash across the middle of the page. So I'm going to stamp it if it's twice on the 12 by 12 page. So I'm going to use the warm colors first and then the cool colors. So I'm going to do 4 different color sections. So what I'm doing is I'm inking up part of the stamp with the Distress Oxide here. And they blend together really nicely. But to avoid the like sharp edges of the pads that will kind of like make that sharp edge, because it's a square pad, I will use my little blending brush there to I press down where the colors meet up, and it just kind of helps blend them together a little bit and get rid of any harsh lines that may remain from the edge of the stamp pad. And so I'm going to first stamp it down regularly. And Distress Oxides, they take a little bit longer to dry. So they're not dry. And it's fine when I pull it up. However, it could be better. Distress Oxides react with water really well. So I decide that I'm going to spritz the pad with some water. And then I don't have any gesso on this paper. So I'm going to re-stamp it. And it wasn't a lot of water, so no gesso is fine because it's not going to just like soak through the page. And I'm going to make sure I get it covered really well. I'm using a stamping bug. And look at the color that comes out just by adding a little bit of water. Look how vibrant it is. It's so beautiful. I still have ink on my pad, so I'm just going to like grab a scratch piece of cardstock and get the rest of that off. I really gave it a good spritz there, and I'm just using my stamping bug to give a lot of even pressure across the grid, and boom, loving it. And that's going to be a great like card background. So I clean it off and I let the one part dry. And you can see right there how well it blended together. Loving that. And I'm going to stamp the cool colors and kind of combine the stamp across the page. So I just like rotate it and it will kind of go into itself, if that makes sense. Like it kind of has a little L shape on the end. So it'll look really nice when I combine it. So I'm going to do the same technique. I'm going to put the color in 4 different sections on the stamp pad. I was just kind of thinking of where that part was going to meet up with the others and what colors to start with. So I want the yellow to blend into the green, is what I was thinking there. So I'm just going to use that blending brush again to blend the colors together. I'm just lightly tapping them. I'm not like using a circular motion or anything like that. And yeah, adding in that purple, I'm loving that. And I'm going to do the exact same technique that I did before. So I'm going to do just a regular stamp, what I call like a dry stamp, where I'm not adding any additional liquid. And it's fine, and I will definitely use it for something. But just adding those couple of spritz of water really help the ink move around and just be vibrant. That blue color is beautiful, but it's really light, and so I decide to add, I actually already spritzed it, and then I add a little bit more on. And then I have to go in and add some more, just because when you add the water to dilute the color, sometimes it just fades away. The pink kind of looks like that, but in real life, the pink shows up better. But the blue was just kind of disappearing. So I'm going to fix that later. But look how cool that looks. I love how the green and the yellow like went together so nicely. And I still have more ink, so I'm going to go back on that same piece. And I'm just going to stamp right over it. Just see what happens. I definitely recommend doing this when you have any stamps. Just play around with them. Like get some plain cardstock and play around. But there's the final result. That's the one I'm going to be using on my layout. but you can see the blue kind of disappeared. So I'm going to go back in and I'm going to just ink up a corner of these bubbles and I'm going to stick it in. And what is super great about this is it's so abstract that you're not going to be able to tell that it doesn't like match up perfectly with the like other bubbles around it or anything like that. Plus, because the Distress oxides are so good at blending together. You can see there was like a harsh edge there from the corner of the stamp. So I just blended it out with that blending brush. But I'm going to use another piece of cardstock here, and I'm going to use that as the background of my page. And I'm going to rip off with my little tool here the swatch that I want to use and just give it a nice textured edge here. And I'm going to use that paper pad to build layers underneath it that peek out from either side. Now, I will say that not only is this stamp wonderful because it is a huge stamp for 12 by 12 scrappers, but if mixed media makes you a little nervous, this is so perfect because this technique, there's a bubble technique that Vicki Boutin teaches a lot where she literally, I don't really even know, blows paint through a straw or something. I haven't ever done it, but it kind of looks like this. And so basically you're getting that technique without the mess and it's just straight ink, right? And you could only use one color on the background or two colors on the background. You don't have to make a rainbow out of it like I did. And so you're getting a mixed media look for no really mixed media effort with just a little bit of stamping. So highly recommend this stamp. And it comes with that cool little acrylic piece because it's such a big stamp and they knew that you needed that support to stamp it well. So this is a really great investment for your scrapbook collection, in my opinion. A lot of times stamps are geared towards card makers, and I love to find good stamps that are perfect for scrapbooking. So I'm just pulling out a couple of the patterns from that My Favorite Things rainbow paper pad to layer underneath my stamped image, just little bits that are going to peek out here. And this was just a funny story that I wanted to tell about my youngest. Something funny that he said the other day. I have a screenshot from where his teacher was talking to me about him being teacher's helper, and I didn't have any photos of the occasion, so I just went to our photo shoot that we took on the first day of school, and I had some outtakes, some silly photos that he was opening his mouth in front of the camera, just being silly, and I decided, well, I can use those because it kind of shows what a weirdo personality that he has, and it goes really well with this funny story. He's a hoot, and I literally have a whole slew of quotes from him just from this week alone that if he says something funny, I go into my notes and I save it, and it's hilarious. This part of the layout was giving me a little bit of a struggle, but I basically wanted to layer it up where you saw the hearts and then you get the stripes and everything's peeking out from behind the stamped image. So I do that on the top and the bottom. There is a seam obviously in the middle because it was only a 6x6 paper pad, but that will be covered up by all of the photos or the screenshots or the journaling that I am adding in. So while I'm putting this together, I will read it to you really quick. It just says, Lachlan was teacher's helper this week and was very excited about it. He took his position seriously and was very stringent in his desire to aid the substitute teacher on Friday. As they were exiting the car, I was telling Heath to have fun, as he had just told me he had art today. And Lachlan, thinking I'm talking to him, said, I'll try to have fun, but I've been teaching all week. He took his position as teacher's helper that week very seriously. But he's not wrong. Teaching's a hard job. So this is kind of the look that I'm going for. His photos will overlap the teacher screenshot, and then I'll put the journaling at the top of the page with actually the title underneath, which is a little opposite of what normally happens. But you know what? It works and it's cute and I get the story told, and that's what matters. So I just pulled out some scraps from my paper collection to back the photos and the other two bits of screenshot or the journaling, and I'm just going to rough up the edges so that they kind of match the rough edges of the background there, which is all one piece but has still not been stuck down to the page yet. So we're getting there though. So now it's time. I'm going to stick it down. So I just put a lot of adhesive on the top, and I actually stuck it a little up higher. I was going to do it right in the middle of the page, but then I thought, you know what? I think I like it at the top third of the page. So I commit to that and I stick it down. And now I'm just going to embellish. So I'm getting the photos and the journaling stuck where I would like them. Excuse me, I took too big of a breath there. And I'm going to stick them all down. And then for the title, I'm going to grab Paige Evans Splendid Alphas. They're like little thickers and they're itty bitty. They're like an inch tall, but they're the perfect color palette that matches the rainbow stamping and the rainbow paper pad from My Favorite Things. So that is so perfect. And I decided that the title was going to be Teacher's Pet. And all the kids take turns being teacher's helper, but it was just funny. She texted me or sent me that note and said, it's his calling. And he always likes to be in the know for sure. So there's the alphas I chose. I just stuck them on my stamping block while I picked all the colors out that I wanted to choose. And I'm going to stick it right there under the story. So basically the story will kind of be told, and then it will say Teacher's Pet underneath. I'm going to just layer a few bits of ephemera that I found in my collection around there. So I have that like pink tag, and I stuck a orange ribbon on it. And I have that little blue tag that matches really well with that little bit of blue stamping that I had so much trouble with. I'm going to use that to anchor the title, right? So the only complaint I have about the Splendid Alphas is that there was no comma or apostrophe, whichever one you want to call it. It's an apostrophe that I'm looking for, but it doesn't have one. So it isn't grammatically correct, but oh well. He's in first grade. So there is my Teacher's Pet title. And now I'm going to go to a Simple Story sticker sheet, and I'm going to pull out a few things. There was some lime green stickers and it matched the lime green stamping. So now it says hello Teacher's Pet, because it's just like you finally finish telling the story and you say hello Teacher's Pet. And then I have that lovely little arrow that overlaps the green section of stamping, which I love, and points to him as he is the teacher's pet. I have, what are we doing here? Oh, I have your, your Starbucks iced coffee, because all teachers have to have their iced coffee. And just a few bits of ephemera from my stash. That's a little bow and some hearts, but basically I chose them because they match the colors in the stamping. Underneath the coffee, I just stacked a few of the little strip stickers from the Simple Stories thing. There's one that says New Direction, one says Captured, and one says Hustle and Heart, because boy was hustling his job as the teacher's assistant, right? I stick one down there that says Noted, and then there was a pencil on the sheet, which was perfect because he's at school and you use a pencil to note things. Also, the Noted had a little strip of washi that matched the green that I stuck up above, so I like to bring that cohesion together. I used blue ink to date stamp it down there, and I'm just going to add a couple more up here. That one says Super Cute. I added a couple of hearts too. And then I'm going to add one at the top that says Documented, and it's in the same green of the other stickers. So I like that. It appears a few different times around the page. And lastly, that one says Daily Grind, because it was just so funny that he was acting like that was his job. Like that was his daily grind. He's been teaching all week and he's tired. I hope you've been inspired to stamp on your scrapbook page today. I hope you've got some tips out of it. And let me know if you have any questions down below. I would love it if you would pop over to my YouTube channel and like and subscribe as well. And check out the Cherry on Top store. This bubble cling stamp is in the store and it's amazing and you should grab it. Thanks so much for watching, y'all. Bye.